Good afternoon all. I would like to welcome all the participants to this online session dedicated to Semester 8 Mechanical Engineering students. The subject for the session is Materials Handling and Facility Planning, and the topic will be Cost Reduction, Maintenance, Safety and Ergonomics of Material Equipments. Today's class instructor will be Professor Eldos KK, who is working as the Dean of Adishankara Institute of Engineering and Technology, Kaladi, Ernakulam. He did his B.Tech in Mechanical Engineering from MA College of Engineering, Kodamangalam in 2002 and M.Tech in Production and Industrial Engineering from MA College of Engineering, Kodamangalam as well, and is currently pursuing his PhD at NIT Calicut. He is an academician for the past 16 years and has 2 years industrial experience at Tata Power Jamshedpur as well. Sir has 14 research publications to his name. His field of expertise is production and industrial engineering. On behalf of ASAP and ASCC division, I welcome you, sir, to deliver today's class. And on this note, I would like to welcome all the attendees to the session. Let me conclude this introductory part by giving the outline of today's class. The entire 1 hour class will be divided into 2 continuous sessions, and each session will have 20 minutes of lecture and 10 minutes of question and answer interaction respectively. And during the interaction time, students may use the question and answer window or chat window to pose their questions. All the students are requested to maintain a classroom record throughout the session. Professor Eldos KK sir will be available online throughout the entire 1 hour session. After the class, the students leaving the event will be prompted with a feedback form. I request all the students to fill the feedback form as and when it is displayed after you exit the class. Sir, you may please start the session.
Thank you. First of all, I extend my sincere thanks to the whole team of ASAP, especially Ashish, for giving me this opportunity. And from my side, I express my sincere thanks to the ASAP team. A very warm welcome to all of you in this session on material handling. And today's topic is cost reduction, maintenance, safety, and ergonomics of material handling equipments. And the contents of today's session is introduction about the topic, then cost consideration of material handling equipments, then maintenance, then safety aspect of material handling equipments, and ergonomics aspect as well. So material handling, during the last session, we detailedly elaborated what is material handling and what is material handling systems and all about. The material handling means the movement of the material and storage, its control throughout the production process. Apart from the production, the warehousing. Warehousing means the inventory. The material where material is stored in a particular place is called warehousing, and it is termed as inventory. After inventory, it is being distributed to the concerned customer. So throughout these processes, altogether is known as material handling. And what is material handling cost? Which means the cost involved in all these processes, like the movement of the material from one place to another place, and its storage in the form of raw material, in the form of in-process material, finished stock, and its control as well. Then it is being stored in a particular place called inventory, where we term it as warehousing. Then for storing the material, cost is involved, and from that it is being distributed to the concerned place. Distribution cost is also involved. So the material handling cost consists of all these factors. And the next point is very important. Around 20 to 60% of total cost of production has been contributed by material handling cost, which means if you take an industry like construction industry, where the material handling cost is very high compared to the actual production. So in industry like construction industries and other type of industries, around 50% of the total cost is occurred because of the material handling cost. So the material handling process is very important in order to optimize the production process, in order to optimize the profit, in order to reduce the total cost, we have to reduce the cost of material handling process. So this has to be minimized in order to enhance the profitability. As I mentioned, in some industries, especially I mentioned the construction industries and other big industries, the ratio of handling cost to the processing cost is very large. It is a ratio. In numerator it comes the ratio, the handling cost, and in the denominator it is processing cost. So if the ratio is large, means the handling cost is large. So in such industries, in order to minimize the total cost, this handling cost has to be minimized. So a properly designed and integrated material handling system will provide this opportunity, as well as it will meet the customer requirement. So in order to meet the customer requirement, as well as in order to reduce the total cost of the production system, we have to design and integrate a good material handling system. And the cost considerations of a material handling system. So reduction in total cost of material handling is achieved either by reducing material handling or by improved handling procedure. In this particular definition, there are two terms. We have to emphasize two terms. One is reducing material handling, as well as improve the handling procedure. Both are very important in order to reduce the cost of material handling. Next, we will discuss what are the terms involved in cost consideration. It is very simple and self-explanatory also. The first term is initial cost of the equipment. Initial cost of the equipment is nothing but the actual cost of the material. So according to the requirement of a particular industry, we have to purchase the equipment. The cost is different for different equipment. So initial costs will come. Then installation cost. Installation cost is nothing but the erection cost, or that particular equipment has to be installed in that particular industry. In many cases, this installation cost is met by the manufacturer, or partially it will be met by the manufacturer. The third is operating cost of the equipment. Operating cost mainly includes the training of the staff. I tell you an example. Suppose we purchase a new equipment. Suppose an automized equipment, or a new invented equipment, or a high technology equipment. So we have to give specific training to the faculty or staff who is involved in the operation process. So for that training, some cost is involved. Then supervision cost will come under operation cost. Then power cost will come. Then labor cost will come. All these comes under this operating cost. The next cost involved is maintenance cost. Maintenance cost means it is very clear. In order to maintain the equipment properly, in order to maintain their function properly, we have to do some maintenance, periodic maintenance, some day-to-day maintenance. We have to do that. Maintenance, it will come in the subsequent slides. That topic is one of the important topic of this particular module. So maintenance we will discuss in detail. But in cost consideration, we have to consider the maintenance cost also. Then last cost involved is depreciation cost. Depreciation cost means during the day-to-day operation of the equipment, the wear and tear may occur, as well as the obsolescence will come. So whenever we need to purchase a new one instead of the existing one, we have to consider the depreciation cost. So these are the 5 cost considerations while reducing the material handling cost. The initial cost of the equipment, installation cost, operating cost, maintenance cost, and the depreciation cost. The next topic is method to reduce the material handling cost. Then what are the strategies, what are the methods we can implement in order to reduce the total cost of the material handling? The first aspect is optimize the space. Optimize the space means whatever space is available for the current scenario. Suppose we are running a production layout or production process we are running. We have a particular machines are there, materials are there, workforce is there. And according to the current strength, we have to optimize the space. Sometimes, suppose we need to grow our industry, grow our firm. So we have to update some new technology. So what we will do is we have to increase the space if required, or sometimes we need to reduce the space required. So according to the requirement, according to the strength availability, we have to optimize the space. That is what is meant by the first term. The second term is reduce touch labor. The best way to increase employee productivity and profit is to reduce the number of times a worker is required to handle the materials, which means we have to reduce the number of times a particular worker is handling the same material. Suppose I will tell you an example. Suppose we need to transfer 10 components from one place to another place. So in single stretch itself, we have to transport these whole material from the particular storage to the required workstations. So then only we can reduce the transportation frequency, or we can reduce the transportation time or the transferring time. Suppose instead of transferring 10 components together, suppose we initially transferred 7 or 6, and 4 components are still available in the storage. So after some times we need to transport the 4 available material to the required workstation. So we use 2 steps. So that will increase the cost, that will increase the handling time also. So we have to reduce the touch labor as far as possible. And we all know that the material handling does not create time. It only helps to transfer material from one place to another. But the production process actually creating the value of the product. So every minute spent on moving or sorting of material, preparing of material, or storing materials, unnecessarily we are spending time means we are lost the productivity. So material handling can be greatly reduced by delivering as many materials as possible directly to the production floor, as I mentioned earlier. See, some of you heard about just-in-time manufacturing technology. What is meant by just-in-time manufacturing technology? Just-in-time means at the time of production, the material is being supplied to the concerned workstation. So due to just-in-time technology, we can reduce the inventory. So inventory cost as such is reduced. So just-in-time technology is one example of that aspect which I mentioned. So just-in-time technology means we will transfer the material, or we will supply the material at the time of requirement only. So there won't be any raw material storage, there won't be any process material storage like that. So we can reduce the inventory. So the material handling can be greatly reduced by delivering us many material as possible at a single stretch. That is what is meant by reduced touch labor. At the same time, we have to eliminate the backtracking. Backtracking is nothing but which I explained. Backtracking means when we move forward, we cannot move backward. So backtracking we have to eliminate as far as possible in order to reduce the transferring time. So the third aspect is optimize flow, components, and ready products. When any materials move through production, it's important for this path to be as short as possible. We have to reduce the distance to be traveled as short or as low as possible in order to enhance the productivity of the equipment. So we have to optimize the flow of the components. We have to assign a particular path or particular route for the movement of the material, and as well as the time spent in transporting materials from different operations on the assembly floor is the time spent not in production. So time, that means the time spent in production is different from time spent in transportation. Actually, as I mentioned earlier, the value is added only during the production time. So we have to minimize the transportation time. So optimize the flow of components and ready products as and when required. That is the third point. And the fourth point is very important: damage prevention. We have to prevent the damage of the equipment, damage of the material to be transported as low as possible. We all know that the damaged material equals loss of profit. Proper storage procedures, including monitoring shelf life, the temperature, moisture level, all these things to be considered when we think about the damage prevention. So damage prevention means when the material is being transported, so we have to take care of the safety of the materials. When we transport equipment, so when we transport different materials, the damage of the equipment also we have to be considered very serious. In both aspects, we have to take necessary steps to prevent the damage. Then best storage conditions. Best storage condition means, some material, we have to eliminate humidity. Humidity is not required, or some temperature control we have to ensure for some material. So we have to ensure best storage condition for keeping the material in safe and good condition. Then monitor and reduce error rate. That means a proper monitoring we have to give, whether it is a raw material, whether it is a process material, whether it is finished stock material. We have to give a clear monitoring. Then only we can reduce the error rate. So that is also very important. And another important aspect is save energy. Save energy means that there is no need for the light to be constantly on. Sometimes we need not require that much intensity of light. Sometimes, dim light is another option. So as and when required, we have to optimize the energy level so that we can reduce the electricity bills as well. If possible, we have to incorporate as many natural light as much natural light as possible, especially during the summer days. So we have to design our construction in such a way that as much this natural light we can let in. We have to use necessary modification for that. That is what is meant by save energy. In save energy, in terms of in that head, last class we discussed about gravity transfer. So when material is being transmitted due to gravity, we can save energy. It does not require any power for gravity transfer. So as I discussed in the last class, wherever we can incorporate that gravity concept, we have to do that in order to save energy. The next term is listen to your staff. And our employees, of course, have a hands-on experience with handling goods, and they are very familiar with the working environment. So they are very likely to notice if anything goes wrong or require improvement, because the workers who are involving the production process regularly, or a worker who is involving in a particular equipment regularly, he knows the environment of the equipment, he knows the environment of the shop floor. So he can notice if anything goes wrong or some improvement is required, he can easily pick up that. As well as nice, important, useful suggestions they will give in order to reduce the handling cost. As well as engaging your staff in making decisions and showing that their value, their opinion is accepted, means you can build a very good relationship among the employees, and it will also make them feel appreciated. So we have to listen to our staff. We have to take the suggestions in order to improve the productivity as well as reduce the material handling cost. Then continue monitoring and supervising. That is, as I mentioned, if the material to be stored in a particular period of time, a continuous monitoring and supervising is required. Then next important point is invest in new technologies. We do not afraid to incorporate new technology. So when we incorporate new technology, definitely that will enhance the production capability, as well as it will reduce the material handling cost. So whenever we need to establish a new technology, whenever we need to mechanize or partially mechanize the system, we have to adopt that technology in order to enhance the productivity and reduce the material handling cost. The next topic of the session is maintenance of material handling equipment. Then we know that maintenance is very essential part of any system. As I mentioned, the proper maintenance of material handling equipment is very extremely essential for preventing the occurrence of bottlenecks, points, or congestions. In order to reduce the breakdown, in order to reduce the shutdown of the equipment or a particular plant as a whole, we have to do the proper maintenance procedure. Then preventive maintenance is one of the best maintenance techniques suggested for material handling equipment. That we will discuss in detail. Then before that, the different types of maintenance are planned maintenance and unplanned maintenance. In planned maintenance category, it comes planned preventive maintenance and planned breakdown maintenance. In planned maintenance, in planned preventive maintenance, two classifications are there. One is corrective maintenance and another is predictive maintenance. Planned maintenance means we know that we are planned. We know such things may happen. There is no unplanned thing in that concept. We know that such thing will happen, so we have to do some corrective measures. That is what is called planned preventive maintenance. In planned preventive maintenance, the first method is corrective maintenance. Corrective maintenance is nothing but suppose a worker is very familiar with a particular equipment and he is interacting or he is involving day by day in that particular equipment in every day for some particular operations. So the environment of that particular machinery is very familiar with that particular worker. So every day before starting the machine, he may inspect each and every part of that particular equipment. So he can correct if any improvement is required. Say some nut or is loosened, so he can correct that. So some corrective maintenance we will take before starting the machine. So this is comes under the preventive maintenance. So the next method is predictive maintenance. Predictive maintenance means, say regularly we will plan a preventive maintenance schedule. Say once in a week we will lubricate the system, we will do some maintenance. So predictive maintenance means it's a continuous maintenance process in order to eliminate the breakdown. So that is the main difference between corrective and predictive maintenance. So that comes under planned preventive maintenance. The next is planned breakdown maintenance. Planned breakdown maintenance is See, in industries like thermal power plants, or some big industries. So once in 6 months or once in a year, they will shut down the industry in order to do some maintenance. That is called it is actually a breakdown maintenance, but it is planned. We will plan the maintenance period. Accordingly, we will shut down the industry for some maintenance process. The maintenance, that is not like predictive or corrective maintenance. A big maintenance schedule is we will incorporate. That means 1 month, 2 month maintenance may be required. So that is what is called planned breakdown maintenance. So the next classification is unplanned maintenance. Unplanned maintenance means so we did not plan anything. Actually, it is one a particular time it is being breakdown. No, the machine is not working. It is stopped. So that is called the unplanned breakdown maintenance. So as far as possible, we have to eliminate the breakdown maintenance because it will affect the whole production. So in order to avoid the breakdown maintenance, we have to do the corrective maintenance, predictive maintenance, or preventive maintenance in an efficient manner. We can reduce the breakdown maintenance. So this is the main classification of maintenance. Then the three stages. The three stages of preventive maintenance. Preventive maintenance is, as I mentioned, it is being classified into two types. One is corrective maintenance and another is predictive maintenance. Corrective maintenance, as I mentioned, day to day we can do some inspection and we can correct the system. Predictive maintenance means we can predict the failure. We can predict the failure. Say because of some condition monitoring, because of some sensors. When we implement some sensors, we can predict the maintenance. So after 6 months or after 1 year, this problem may occur because of vibration. So bearings may be damaged. So we can analyze all these things from the sound from the equipment. If the sound is very high, vibration is high, so that we can conclude that some bearing is not properly working. So we can correct that. So some predictive analysis we can do using some sensors and other things. That's already we discussed. That comes under this preventive maintenance. And the three stages of preventive maintenance are: one is inspection, then repair, then overhaul. These are the three aspects. What is inspection? Inspection means all parts, open or covered, are inspected for wear and tear. Worn out, or some unworkable components like rods, wheels, bearings, bolts, etc. are removed. Brakes are adjusted. Some lubrication is provided whenever necessary. So inspection is the physical inspection. Then the second one is repair. So the repairable parts of the system after inspection are corrected for small repairs and minor defects are rectified. After inspection, so we may conclude that this particular component is required, needs some repair, some minor defects are there, so that has to be corrected. So these aspect comes under the repair. Repair comes after inspection. Systems like, say, open gear transmission, couplings, riveted or bolted joints, these are the components may be repaired after inspection. So repair comes after inspection. And the third aspect is overhaul. Overhaul involves the dismantling the complete mechanism. You have to disassemble the complete mechanism and replacing all damaged components in that instantly. So overhauling means we have to dismantle the complete mechanism and replacing all damaged components. say crane structure, buffers, rails, open gear transmission, pulley blocks, etc. Suppose some damage occurs, we cannot correct it because of safety aspect. So we have to replace that. Some components we have to replace instead of being repaired. So such a process is called overhaul. So these are the three stages of this preventive maintenance. One is inspection, one is repair, and another is overhaul. So I will discuss these three stages of some equipments. First, we will discuss hoist and cranes. So we will discuss in that particular material handling equipments, how do we handle inspection stage, repair, and overhaul. As I mentioned, already mentioned, all parts open or covered are inspected for a wear and tear. If any part is worn out, or any unworkable components like wire ropes, wheels, bearings, bolts, etc., that are removed. And if required, some brakes are adjusted and lubrication is provided whenever and wherever is necessary. And repair. The repairable parts of the system after inspection are corrected for small repairs, and minor defects are rectified, as I mentioned. And overhaul is already explained. We have to change the whole mechanism or whole component instead of repair. So the next part is we will discuss how do we conduct inspection, repair, and overhauling of a conveyor belt or material handling equipment like conveyors. So in conveyors, we know that the belts and rollers, which are the essential part, we have to ensure the tension of the belts and rollers of the conveyors. Unless it is properly tight, the tension is not up to the level of requirement, the material or the work placed over the belt may be slipped out. It may be slipped. So we have to ensure the tension of the particular belt material and wear and tear as well. If the belt material is wear and tear is high, there is a possibility of break the material. So we have to inspect all these things. Basically, we can inspect all these things, whether it is tight, the tightness is up to the level of requirement, the wear and tear is not there, then we have to ensure all these things. Then we can suppose a gearbox is there, so we can properly lubricate that gearbox. Then various fasteners are tightened. Suppose if any nut or any some fasteners require some tightness, we can do that. Then importantly, safety guards are checked. So when workers are operating in heavy machines, some distance we have to ensure. So safety guards are being placed. So we have to ensure whether the safety guards are placed properly, and we have to check it and correct it during the inspection stage. Then the repair stage, as I mentioned, the rollers and belts, we have to check it, adjusted or repaired. If the tightness is not there, we have to tighten the material, we have to increase the tension of the belt. If wear and tear is there, if it is beyond the allowable level, we have to change the belt material and we can replace a new one. So couplings, then packings, safety guards, steel structures, then gear transmission, then bearings, then fastener joints, all these things, all these small components are adjusted or repaired as per their conditions. We have to do that. Then overhauling. Overhauling means we have to change the component completely. In a conveyor system, we can completely dismantle the conveyor system. The components which are worn out and beyond repair, like the belt, as I mentioned, bearing, sometimes the bearing has to be replaced, then packing, then oil seals, then rollers, drums, fasteners, etc. If that components require an immediate replacement, we have to do that. That is what is called overhauling. So, three important stages of preventive maintenance are inspection, repair, and overhaul. Then another material handling equipment is industrial trucks. So how do we do these three stages? Industrial truck, normally it is electrically operated, battery operated. So we have to ensure the battery and battery charging system. We have to ensure the brakes. We have to ensure the transmission. We have to ensure the clutch and shift linkages, wheels condition, steering condition, especially, and also fuel and hydraulic system leakage, etc. All these things we have to take into consideration when we do the preventive analysis of our industrial trucks. Okay, these are the three equipments: cranes, then conveyors, and industrial trucks are included in this presentation. Then next topic is safety in material handling. Okay. So the third topic of today's session is safety in material handling. The safety principles of material handling demands the handling methods and handling equipments must be safe. A safe materials handling means the activity is free from recognized hazards that can cause or likely to cause physical harm, including death of employees or public damage to material. So, safety department is an important department of any industry, especially in material handling system. We have to take care safety seriously. So, any worker who is working in an higher side, proper helmet he has to wear, proper belts he has to wear, and all necessary steps for safeguarding the person himself as well as safeguarding the other components. We have to ensure the safety measures. Then materials should always be handled such that injuries or damages are brought into minimum. When we handle any material, whether it is a raw material, whether it is a finished material, we have to handle it safely. As well as we have to ensure the safety of the equipment also. Suppose if one particular crane or particular forklift, suppose the capacity is say 10-ton capacity, we have to ensure the weight to be loaded. It should not be over 10 ton. In order to consider the factor of safety, we have to load 8 tons or 7 tons or 8 tons or maximum 9 tons, because the capacity of the crane is only 10 tons. So we have to consider such aspects. We have to safeguard the equipment also while transporting materials. So safety is very important aspect of material handling department. Then safety. In order to achieve a safe material handling operations, it is essential to follow safety policy in the plant or workplace. It is very clear. So from industry to industry, the policy may be different. But for a particular industry, particular department, especially material handling department, that we have to formulate different safety policies. Safety policy means to provide some guidelines for elimination or reduction of accidents causing injuries and damage due to both manual and equipment assisted material handling. So we have to follow the guidelines, safety guidelines, in order to safeguard the equipment, in order to safeguard the human beings. So safety policy is very important in order to reduce the damages and even death of employees. The safety policy generally include the training provisions, then guidelines for manual and equipment assisted material handling, as well as material storage. It also provides guidelines on housekeeping, securing load on vehicle, as I mentioned, then firefighting is very important. Requirements of guarding, illumination, labels, sign marking, etc. So this signboards, then labels, all are very important. We have to give proper instructions, proper boards wherever it is required. We have to do that. Firefighting is also very important. Like see, in industries, this firefighting department or firefighting system is very capable. Like fire extinguisher, wherever required, we have to install fire extinguisher. So in different types of fire extinguisher, I'm not going to elaborate on that. Different types of fire extinguisher we have to install different locations according to the requirement. Then securing load on vehicles. So as I mentioned, we have to consider the capacity of the vehicle or capacity of the equipment. We should not overload the equipment, should not overload. So there should be a proper guidelines for all these things. So we have to follow the guidelines in order to safeguard the whole system. Then the safety policy may also specify the responsibility towards safety protocols of various personnel and departments of an organization. So the safety policy will specify the responsibility of different individuals and the responsibility of the department or of the organization. So in India, the safety policy are being formulated from different acts and rules. I just mentioned a few of them. Indian Factories Act 1948, Indian Mines Act and Rules 1952, Indian Explosive Act 1984, then Motor Vehicles Act, Indian Electricity Rules, Indian Fire Act, Air Pollution Act, and Water Pollution Act. So different industries, the policy may be different. Some industry may not consider all these things. Some industry will take two or three from this in order to make the policy. So according to the requirement of the industry, a safety policy shall be formulated from all these acts and rules. So I will discuss some aspect of safety in some equipments. First, I will take crane, an overhead crane. So this already I mentioned. Confirm the load weight to be loaded on that particular crane. So in order to load that particular weight, we have to consider the capacity of the equipment. That means the equipment shall not be overloaded. When we consider rope and slings, capacity is mentioned. We cannot load over the allowable limit. So we have to consider the safety of all these equipments, considering its capacity and capability. Then select the right sling for each lift. Inspect slings and other hardware before use for wear or other damage. So we have to ensure the safety aspect of all these things. Then next is the conveyor safety. So especially conveyor is being operated by belts or rollers. Now, as I mentioned earlier, unless the belt is properly tightened, the work or whatever is placing over the belt, it may slip down. So that we have to avoid. So in such situations, the belt speed, in many cases, the speed of the belt is 90 to 150 meters per minute. That means it comes around 1.5 to 2.5 meters per second. So at the same time, the time required for a person to react in such situation is about only 1 second. So that's also very important. So workers also safeguard their situation. Okay. So workers should work on conveyors when it is locked or tagged out. That means suppose we need to change any component of the conveyor belt or some other small components. We have to stop the system, then only we can do some work. And workers should never cross a moving belt. Workers should not cross the moving belt. And these are small tips in terms of safety aspects of conveyors. Then the next important topic is the ergonomics of material handling equipment. The ergonomics, it's a Greek, it's derived from two Greek words. One is ergon, which means work, and another is nomos, which means natural law. Ergonomics deals with the relation between workers and their environment. See, in all industries nowadays, ergonomics is a crucial part. Even ergonomics departments are being formulated in many industries. So ergonomics means how comfortably a worker is working. Even if suppose a worker is sitting on a chair, no, he has to sit comfortably in order to enhance his productivity. Suppose when I am sitting here, when I am doing this process, I must be comfortable to deliver this particular lecture in order to enhance my efficiency. So in each and every aspect, suppose a particular equipment is installed, it should be installed considering proper ergonomics. So ergonomics deals with the relation between workers and their environment. Another definition is ergonomics is the science of studying people at work and then designing tasks, jobs, information, tools, equipments, then facilities and the working environment so that the people can be safe and healthy, effective, productive and comfortable. This is the essence of ergonomics. So in order to enhance the productivity of the particular worker, or in order to enhance the productivity of a particular equipment, an ergonomical design we have to incorporate. Suppose a worker is manually lifting a weight. So some ergonomical small equipments we can design in order to reduce the effort, in order to reduce the fatigue. So the main objective of ergonomics is we have to reduce the fatigue, we have to reduce the stress while working, both workers as well as for equipments. Okay. Next is objectives of ergonomics, which I already mentioned, to enhance the efficiency and effectiveness with which the activities is carried out so as to increase the convenience of use, reduce the errors and increase the productivity. So this is the one of the main objective of ergonomics, that is to enhance the productivity as well as reduce the errors as well as enhance the healthy condition of the worker. Then the second objective is to enhance certain desirable human values, including safety, reduced stress and fatigue, as I mentioned, and improve the quality of life. By incorporating some ergonomic designs, we have to reduce the stress as well as fatigue of the employees, as well as stress and fatigue of the equipment also, to enhance the productivity. Then important ergonomic considerations are, major ergonomic consideration for making a job comfortable are, one is human body structure, then manual handling of equipment, then work posture, work environment. Already I explained that. Human body structure means, so whenever we are working, whenever any worker is working in a plant or operating an equipment, his body structure, body posture, all these things are to be ergonomically operated in order to reduce the cost. Okay, these are the different considerations. Human body structure, manual handling of material, when any material is handling manually. So wherever possible, ergonomic aspects we have to consider. Then work posture is very important in order to reduce the fatigue and stress. Then work environment is also a major factor when considering ergonomic aspect. Then another aspect is when to design a material handling system. The different situations are: a new product is being planned to manufacture, change in the existing product design requiring a corresponding change in the layout, then obsolescence of facilities, then frequent accidents, then adoption of new safety standards. The topic is, as I told you, when we have to design or redesign the existing material handling system. What are the situations? First situation is a new product is being planned to manufacture. Suppose we need to produce a new product according to the customer requirement. Sometimes we have to purchase new equipment. Sometimes we have to remodify the existing equipment. When we do that, we have to redesign the material handling system. Correct. The second part is change in the existing product design requiring a corresponding change in the layout. See, suppose we are producing a particular product, some modification is required. So according to the current product, available product, we have designed the material handling system and its layout. So if the product is being changed or some modification has been required for the existing product, what we have to do, the current material handling system may not be sufficient or may not be capable to handle the situation in an effective manner. So what we will do, we have to redesign the whole layout according to the requirement. So that is another situation, another scenario where we need to think to redesign the existing layout. Then third point is obsolescence of facilities. If the current product is obsolescent, that means obsolescence means it is now older one. A new technology has been evolved. So the old product or all the old components has to be replaced by the new. So that is what is meant by obsolescence of the facility. So in order to enhance the capability, in order to enhance the productivity, we have to reinvent the equipment. We have to introduce the new equipments in order to increase the productivity as well as reduce the material handling cost. So when the available equipment is obsolescent, we have to reinvent the new equipment. That is another scenario or another situation where we have to redesign the material handling system. Then the fourth point is frequent accidents. See, according to the present material handling system, some frequent accidents may occur, means some changes required. So we have to redesign the layout. That is another scenario. Then adoption of new safety standards. So suppose new regulations or new policy has been introduced for a particular industry in terms in safety perspective. So we have to incorporate that additional safety aspect. We have to redesign the layout. So these are the some scenario where we have to design or redesign the existing system. Then when we think about this obsolescence of facilities, we have to think about the degree of mechanization in material handling. Suppose we are using a manually operated equipment. Definitely, we have to change that manually operated equipment to a mechanized one in order to enhance the productivity or in order to enhance the reduce the cost or meeting the required demand. We have to change the whole system. So we have to introduce the mechanization of the material handling equipment. Where an important time is the degree of mechanization. To what extent we have to mechanize the equipment. In a single stretch, we need not mechanize completely. So different levels of mechanizations are there. First one is a manual. The first aspect is manual and dependent on physical effort. That means there is no mechanization is there. All material is being handled by manually or using some equipment. That equipment is not mechanized. Using some conventional equipment and using the manual support, we are transporting materials. That is the first level of mechanization. That is manual and dependent on physical effort. And the second one is partially mechanized. Some power instead of physical effort is used for driving the equipment. Some part is being mechanized. Some trucks, some conveyors, some components are mechanized in order to reduce the human effort. So that is called partial mechanization. Then next stage is mechanization complemented with computers. Then softwares and other computer technology we are using for mechanization. That is the extension of the previous one. We have mechanized some equipments, but a computer technology or a software part is also involved. That is called the second level of mechanization. Then next is the automated one. What is meant by automation? Automation means the minimum human intervention is used for driving or operating the equipment. Human intervention is minimized. Example, say automated guided vehicles or automated conveyors, like that. So we are automating the mechanism so that the manual or the human intervention is reduced. Then the next stage is it is fully automated. Fully automated means we have to reduce we have to eliminate the human intervention as such. There is no human intervention is required. It is completely automated. So we have to when we introduce the mechanization, we have to identify the level of mechanization. So
okay, sir.
That is all about my presentation today.
Okay, sir. So we have received few questions.
Okay.
Okay, sir. I will ask the first question.
Am I audible?
Yes, sir. Yes, sir. You're audible.
Okay.
Okay. The first question is: can you explain the concept of overhaul? How is it implemented in an automated industry?
What is the question, sir?
Can you explain the concept of overhaul?
Concept of
overhaul, sir. Overhaul.
Okay.
How is it implemented in an automated industry?
Okay. It's a very good question. Overhaul means, as I mentioned, we have to replace the component completely. It is not a repairable condition. We have to replace the component. See, in automated industry, if we overhauling a component means it is completely stopped. But nowadays, the important aspect is, see, the lifespan of many equipments is 15 years, 20 years, like that. So that overhauling aspect is minimized as much as possible in many automated workers. But even though it is being completely automated, it is a very precision equipment, high cost equipment. But due to some periodic inspection and some other intervention of the quality check, we can identify some errors or some problems may occur in future that we can identify. Accordingly, we can take some corrective steps. But in many of the mechanized and completely automated industry equipments, the lifespan is very high. So we can ensure the quality and the safe condition for a long period of time. Is it clear?
Yes, sir, that was clear. The next question is, what is the role of PLC in safety and material handling?
What is the role of
PLC in safety and material handling.
PLC?
Yes, sir. What is the role of PLC in safety and material handling?
What is the role of? I didn't get that question.
So, what's the role of PLC, Programmable Logic Controller, in safety?
PLC.
Yes, sir.
Okay. The programmable logic control means that is, when see all we can many situations we can use some sensors, some other equipments for sensing the situations. So in all that aspect, these logic controls are very much essential, especially in material handling. So some guided routes we can fix that using this PLC and other things. We can guide the component in an optimized path. So all these things we can improve using PLCs and other automated controls. So especially in safety aspect, this PLC system will give some alarm, some indication whenever we have to take some safety measures. So PLC is an exclusive part, a mandatory part in order to ensure the automation aspect of safety and other material handling systems.
Okay, so that was clear. The last question is, can AI-based technologies used for improving safety and ergonomics?
AI-based, artificial intelligence-based technology used for
enhancing safety and ergonomics.
Sure. So definitely AI and ML are the evolving area. It is being applied in all sectors. Perspective of the sectors, in all sectors, artificial intelligence and machine learning techniques is being adopted. These machine learning techniques we can incorporate in order to have some predictions as well. When using we can collect as many data as possible for a particular equipment. Suppose see some failure, even we can predict using this AI and ML. See that for that we need as many data from a particular equipment. Its working condition, its safety condition values. If we get all these values, even we can predict the performance of the equipment, even we can predict the failure, even we can predict the breakdown also. So AI is going to be an integral part of this material handling, especially automated material handling systems.
Okay, sir. So I have received that. Yes, sir, it was clear. I have received another question. It's from Denin Daniel. He has asked, when designing an equipment, how do we consider maintenance precautions? I will repeat, sir. When designing an equipment, how do we consider maintenance precautions?
Okay. The equipment to equipment, the maintenance procedure is different. So normally when we purchase an equipment, there is a clear procedure for maintenance. At what time the lubrication is required, at what time that replacement is essential. So all these that working procedure manual is there within is along with the equipment. When the system becomes older, when we use the machine for a long time, its performance comes down. Then we have to think our own strategy for some maintenance schedule for that particular equipment. But during the initial period, the manufacturers manufacturer will give the correct maintenance schedule for that particular equipment. So that on that aspect we need not worry about that. But according to the requirement of the industry, according to the nature of operation, we can remodify the maintenance schedule in order to enhance the performance of the machine.
Okay, sir. Sir, as we have reached the end of the session, I would like to conclude this class. Thank you, sir, for this wonderful session. Indeed, it was an informative one. On behalf of ASAP, and I personally express our sincere gratitude to you, sir, for sparing your time and sharing your valuable knowledge with us during this lockdown situation.